So there's some people are saying that
he ponders the fate of this great vessel once sailed upon the pantheon of jurors. In the hallowed halls of justice, where echoes of truth intertwine with whispers of despair, there stands Jumoke Alawode James, a radiant figure sculpted by the universe, with a beauty akin to a stallion galloping through fields of reckoning. Clad in the armor of eloquence, her voice pierces the thick veil of complacency, unraveling cases that cradle the very essence of Nigeria's collective agony. She stands a sentinel over a nation laid bare, beckoning it to rise from the ashes of its own dissolution, crying out for a redemption that dances just beyond reach. Next emerges Evans Ufeli, a sage, with a heart that beats in harmony with the rhythm of justice, an advocate driven by a fervent dream of egalitarian dawn. Each week, he unfolds a scroll of cases bestowed upon him by the wise rabbi, a craft woven with threads of profound thought and searing urgency. His lamentation for the plight of the people rises like a haunting melody, reverberating through a land where self-inflicted wounds twist the tendrils of allegiance into knots of a servitude, traded for nothing more than a pittance, a morsel of bread amidst the hunger of the soul. Then strides forth Emeka Madunagu, a linguistic maestro, armed with knowledge as dense as the forest, each word a carefully sharpened arrow aimed at the heart of injustice. He ventures onto this hallowed platform armed with solutions, a veritable panacea for the ail of his compatriots. Emeka unyielding locks eyes with the elite, unflinching in his resolve as he speaks truth to power with the fervor of a modern-day prophet. He advocates for a class suicide, a radical act of severance from the vines of greed that choke the very life of Nigeria, prescribing this sacrificial rite as the only balm for the nation's festering wounds. Now, we bear witness to Innocent Aduluba, a custodian of integrity, where honesty flows like a river untainted. His edges of sacred truth is fortified by the solid foundation of reason, delivering a symphony of clarity that dances gracefully along the social-cultural spectrum. Innocent, an oracle of the common people, channels their pulse, imbibing the essence of their struggles and transforming them into the language of the streets. His enlightenment becomes a lantern, guiding those lost in the shadow, illuminating pathways once obscured as he breathes life into the collective consciousness. Henry Igwebike stands as a watchdog, a vigilant watcher of the tempest that permeates the fabric of Nigeria, a land once resplendent with the vibrancy of hope, now adrift in the murky waters of uncertainty. With a heart heavy, yet buoyed by fate, he ponders the fate of this great vessel, once sailed by the spirits of unity and promise, now battered by the storms of discord and strife. What port shall it find amidst the turmoil? Where does the compass of its destiny truly point? As waves of cynicism crash against its hull, as the sirens of turmoil sing lullabies of disillusion. In this pantheon of jurors, each voice rings out a chorus, weaving the fabric of a new Nigeria. Sit, relax, and enjoy the show. The Middlemen of Jurors. The pantheon of jurors. In the hallowed halls of justice, where echoes of truth intertwine with whispers of despair, there stands Jumoke Alawode James, a radiant figure sculpted by the universe, with beauty akin to a stallion, galloping through fields of reckoning. Clad in the armor of eloquence, her voice pierces the thick veil of complacency, unraveling cases that cradle the very essence of Nigeria's collective agony. She stands a sentinel over a nation laid bare, beckoning it to rise from the ashes of its own dissolution, crying out for a redemption that dances just beyond reach. Next emerges Evans Ufeli, a sage, with a heart that beats in harmony with the rhythm of justice, an advocate driven by a fervent dream of egalitarian dawn. Each week, he unfolds a scroll of cases bestowed upon him by the wise rabbi, a craft woven with threads of profound thought and searing urgency. His lamentation for the plight of the people rises like a haunting melody, reverberating through a land where self-inflicted wounds twist the tendrils of allegiance into knots of a servitude, traded for nothing more than a pittance, a morsel of bread amidst the hunger of the soul. Then strides forth Emeka Madunagu, a linguistic maestro, armed with knowledge as dense as the forest, each word a carefully sharpened arrow aimed at the heart of injustice. He ventures onto this hallowed platform armed with solutions, a veritable panacea. Middlemen.
Welcome to another session of the Middlemen, a space for critical reflection and bold conversations. Here, we examine the cracks in our nation's foundation and confront them with clarity and a commitment to truth. Our jurors are here to reveal and examine the cracks in their cases and repair them with their functional verdicts. Our juror from Rabbi will dig deep into Nigeria's GMO debate, from health concerns to environmental risks and the economic impact on farmers. In his case, titled GMO Will Poison the Gods of Our Land. Juror Olajumoke Alaode James' case, titled Nigeria Overcompensates Rather Than Rewards, challenges Nigeria's habit of throwing money at success instead of building systems that breed it. Juror Henry Gwebike takes us behind the laughter in the comedic series of Governor Amuneke, where he reveals a painful truth in his case titled The Chronicle of Governor Amuneke, a comedy with a bitter truth. And I, Juror Emeka Madunagu, lament not the lack of laws, but the lack of adherence to laws by powerful people. My case is titled, Jam Me If Them Burn You Well. These cases and more will come up right after this break. Tighten your belts as we prepare to take off.
Middleman. Middleman. Middleman.
Thanks for staying tuned. My case. Jam Me If Them Burn You Well. What will make a popular musician to stand right in front of a moving aircraft and dare the pilot to jam me if them burn you well? What am I saying? Daring the pilot to run over him. The pilot of a plane? Please make it make sense. You were trying to board an aircraft with a flask containing alcohol. Right from the terminal, you were told you couldn't board an aircraft with such. Yet you arrogantly proceeded to board. Right then, you were stopped in your tracks. Next thing, you poured the substance on an aviation official. Excuse me. Then you proceeded to do the unthinkable. You moved to the nose of the aircraft and stood arrogantly, daring the pilot to jam me if them burn you well. The flustered pilot responded swiftly by proceeding to taxi for takeoff. That made you to flee from harm's way. Now who won't die? A video of the incident has gone viral. In fact, videos, not just one. The pilot and a colleague of hers were suspended, while the petulant friend of the president was marched off the runway. This matter will surely have international implications. It has further hurt our battered foreign image. Cry, my beloved country. Right now, a nominee of Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia for commissioner is receiving hot stones online for allegedly ruining the academic careers of his students by deliberately failing them. Current and former students have come forward with allegations against the nominee, who is said to be related to a prominent traditional ruler. And lest I forget, let me quickly drop this advocacy. Physically challenged Nigerians are asking banks to redesign their entrances in order for them to access their halls for business transactions. My verdict: Nigeria has been turned into a lawless country by people who think that access to power means they can break laws and oppress fellow citizens. Too much lawlessness has made the environment really toxic. This must not be allowed to continue. Nigeria is not a jungle. Every society is regulated by laws and proper social comportment. That misconduct at the airport must be decisively punished. A flight ban should be imposed on the errant chap. The aviation personnel who allowed him to pass through security checks without flasks should be sanctioned. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo ought to concentrate on his sensitive assignment and stop dabbling into issues that are outside his purview. The allegations against the Benue nominee deserve to be investigated thoroughly. Unions in tertiary institutions need to rise beyond strikes to ensure proper conduct among their members. Lastly, banks shouldn't delay further on this advocacy. They should channel a portion of their humongous profits into making their services more accessible to the banking public.
Juror Emeka, so your case is 3-in-1
today. Let me quickly talk about your advocacy. It has become law, you know, for every public institution to have entrances for physically challenged. Yes. They call them people living with disabilities in Lagos. So the fact that there are still some public institutions that do not have access for them, they're definitely breaking the law. Concerning your advocacy about the lecturers and institutions, all of our institutions, I mean, across the board are broken down, which is why Kwamwon will go and stand in front of a value jet plane and say, "Jam me well." Guess what? That lady pilot could easily have killed him. If he did not bend down at the point at which he bent, the wing of that plane would have crushed him. You know, whatever it is that makes you, and you know, the funny thing is, he's running for Awojayo. I think you should just go and bury that ambition already. His daddy, you know, up there has that knack for fixing people who their families are not next in line for ruling, you know, on a stool, and just everybody just arrange yourselves and then put his own people, you know, as traditional rulers. But I think you should go and bury that ambition now with this. But also, the lady, do not go and jam a woman driver on the road. Talk less of a woman pilot. We don't have time for nonsense. They had begged the man. In several videos that I saw, okay, you can't take alcohol. Then they didn't allow him board. And because of that, he went to stand in front of a moving plane. Who is he in front of a plane? Is he suicidal? I don't understand. But I think that our big men should realize that nobody ought to be above the law.
Yeah, but you know this issue in Nigeria, the issue about do you know who I am, has become a very big problem, because it's about that definition about do you know who I am. Everybody is trying to prove one nonsense, especially because many persons are actually coming from wretchedness. So when you are able to get small money, then you begin to act like you are not on top of the world. First, let's even look at the medical implication. He's 68 years old. What's a 68-year-old man doing with alcohol? I want to probe into his moral standing. I want to do that. You not only that you have alcohol. Against his religion. Yeah, not only that.
Just even leave that first.
Not only that you have alcohol in your hand, you are also behaving inappropriately. You understand? Then to the woman who was to fly the plane, or was that woman, it looks like she had driven down food before in Lagos. Because what happened?
The way she was moving the plane.
What happened exactly with Value Jet and this Kwam1 is exactly what you see in Oshodi and in Ikeja and all that, where the conductor...
No, but the airport is close to Oshodi. It's between Oshodi and Ikeja.
So maybe the influence of that. Where a conductor and a passenger will be asking for change, or what you call balance. He will go and stand at the front of the vehicle and say, this vehicle will not move until my appropriate money will be given to me and all that. It's so ugly and chaotic. I just feel that both Kwam1 and the woman are the same persons. There's an influence somewhere. that runs around almost all Nigerians. And that is the influence of superiority complex.
Oh, true, very true.
Yeah, everybody is trying to subdue the next person. Look at our politicians, how they take our commonwealth and share it among themselves. It's the same thing. Okay, the people that are going to sit over this matter to judge it have the same problem too.
Very true.
Yes, have the same problem, have the proclivity and the tendency to want to shoulder the other person and show him that you are bigger.
Yes,
that
so.
superiority complex.
Do you know who I am?
That superiority complex is unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
You know, it's a thin line between superiority and inferiority.
Yes, and
complex is complex. So
the truth is that Kwamwan did not just put his life in danger; he put the life of every other official in danger,
including the passengers.
Those on board. Because
yes.
as at the time that plane was being moved, the officials were standing. They've forgotten that the plane.
They have forgotten.
Yes.
And if she had moved in a very, everybody will, you know, at the end of the day, have a tragedy in their hands. And let me tell you, the first time I saw this video, this morning, was on YouTube. It was a white man that even posted it and said, "Come and look at this." It was an American. So I started watching. I was trying to find out. I don't saw Value Jet. I said, Value Jet is not in America. Value Jet is Nigeria. I went for that. I went to Facebook and I saw the full story. Okay, so we're already before the entire world.
The international community.
I think that the airport authority, the Nigerian government, the disciplinary authorities should wade into this matter immediately. A lot of children have seen this. They are on holidays now. You know? And look at what we're doing to our
and there is summer school.
Where this is to say the least most unfortunate.
Very so unfortunate. You know, it's often said that the leopard never loses its sport, and this is very synonymous to the grab it, take it, and run with it syndrome, as made possible or made known by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu while he was addressing his team in the UK. You know, this is actually what we see, and it's very popular amongst us. I remember some times ago when we were equally discussing, in my case, I said there was a social experiment that was made of an Agbero, you know, when they took him from his dungeon and brought him to a co-hotel, and how that he changed because of the environment. Kwamwan would fail that test. Kwamwan would gladly fail that test.
They say because to take a pig from a pig style.
Yeah, you know,
always go back.
Yeah, but again, because I would ask myself, why would somebody who is a first-class entertainer in his genre, you know, would allow himself, would debase himself to that level? This is not the first time he had, you know, gone with that Value Jet. This is not the second.
Videos now.
You understand? You know, and apart from that nuisance. And apart from that, a nuisance that he has exhibited, there are other things he has equally done that are so gory. And I sincerely think that something should be done about it. But of course, we know that nothing will be done about it. Remember that damn Oshomole case?
They have already suspended the pilots.
So for what?
So like Oshomole, like Value.
And he has denied actually that it wasn't alcohol, that it was water.
But the forensic evidence is there because he even poured it on an official, so yes. That you know, so we know how water smells. Actually,
but we know how our institutions run. They won't allow it fly. As far as his Kwamwan, as far as his Oga at the top is there, I would love to believe.
No, but I want to believe. Let me tell them one thing today. You see, part of the disrespect we have, you know, whenever we travel abroad, is little things like this.
Our anyhowness.
I won't be surprised that if he's placed on a no-fly list abroad. Let me just assure him about that. Because next time he flies into any foreign country, any Western airport, he will be interrogated. It may look like nothing, but he will be interrogated. And it may not be one of the major countries, maybe one small African country. I'll say, hey, come to this side.
Remember what they did to Shegumi? Remember what they did to Shegumi in Saudi Arabia? You know, because of the
Shegumi, yes, he was deported. He was deported. So, yes. And then another thing I want to say is this: I don't want to blame the pilot because the control tower tells the pilot what to do.
No, but the ground officials are the ones who cleared the pilot to move.
But why were they standing? Why were they standing by the wings?
They were distracted, begging him to leave so they could clear the plane.
So, but where were the aviation security?
They can't leave him there now.
No, the aviation security should have bundled him out. Okay, what if it was a terrorist? Let me say, look, let me tell you,
a terrorist would not have been allowed onto the tarmac.
No, but this is an act of terrorism.
This is an act of terrorism.
Yes, now. It's an act of terrorism. Anywhere in the world, if you try to stop a moving plane, it's direct to jail. You are going to jail direct. It has a name. I can't remember the name now. When you try to do that, you are going to jail straight. And that's exactly what he has done. What else is terrorism?
Oh.
Sharp. For the ill of his compatriots, Emeka unyielding locks eyes with the elite, unflinching in his resolve as he speaks truth to power with the fervor of a modern-day prophet. He advocates for a